This is the first battle in the best of 5 series between me and a Diplomatt from the Wolf clan. We decided to ban Boyai, Tylis, Arverni and Galatia for these final games in the Milk and Cookies Total War tournament. The way the faction picks worked were that we each picked 2 factions, then we banned one faction from the other player, leaving the player with the faction that he was going to use, and the player at the top of the bracket picked the map first, then we switched. So the first map pick is mine, then it's Diplomat's, then it's mine, and so on. So let's see how this goes. I'm happy that I got Suebi against Carthage on Armavir. I didn't decided to not go for a winter map with this Suebi build because it doesn't really need it. It can be beneficial, but in this case I decided to not go for winter. And my build is a very, very simple one. It has 6 Swordmasters with an Ariovistus General. Then I have 6 Spear Levy, 3 Germanic Slingers, and 3 Germanic Scout Riders. So if there happened to be an elephant on the field, I would be more than capable of dealing with that with Precursor Javelin, Slingshot, and Javelins from the Germanic Scouts. For Diplomatt, we have 4 Mercenary Gallic Warriors, 6 Libyan Infantry, I believe, 2 Mercenary Samnites, late Libyan Hoplites, 2 of those, 4 Carthaginian Cavalry, 1 Noble Cavalry, and 2 Mercenary Balearic Slingers. So you can see that Diplomat's lines are significantly wider than mine. I am fairly concentrated in the center, and Diplomatt actually has 3 sword units on each side of my flank here. So this means that if Diplomatt just moves up here, keeps moving up with these flanks, he will be able to close his formation around mine like a scissor and come charging downhill into my Swordmasters from the flank. So I'm going to have to do something about that, because at this point that's the most dangerous scenario that I can find myself in, charging into the center, breaking through the center, or him just kiting and then closing around, sort of like Kanai, because these Swordmasters are going to defeat anything put in front of them. The problem is just that if what's put in front of them happens to be late Libyan Hoplites or even Mercenary Gallic Warriors, while they get surrounded and charged downhill by Shock Cavalry and Carthaginian Cavalry, getting sniped by Mercenary Balearic Slingers, then I'm going to be in trouble. So I have to prevent that from happening somehow. That is my first objective. My second objective is to make these Balearic Slingers waste ammunition, and ideally I want to have them firing at my Germanic Slingers, so my Germanic Slingers can do damage to them, because each Mercenary Balearic Slinger killed is 25 less ammunition to worry about. So I want to skirmish for an extended time with these Mercenary Balearic Slingers. And there is a point. Oh, I almost forgot about this unit. I have the Hexbearers. The Hexbearers are there to reduce the enemy morale, both with Fear and with the Curse ability. So I'm able to break speed bump units faster, and it should also help me in the central engagements in breaking through faster. But again, I can't just engage straight up here, because as you can see, Diplomatt has units available for flanking all around. So I'm going to leave my Germanic Scout Riders here in the forest in case the Carthaginian Cavalry decides to start moving. I start firing at his Mercenary Gallic Warriors, just to make the Mercenary Balearic Slingers move a bit forward. Then I reorient and I start firing at the Mercenary Balearic Slingers. I believe we are both focusing fire here. So Diplomatt is wisely firing at the Germanic Slingers that are not in the forest, sending a cavalry unit out to intercept my Germanic Slingers, which is a good idea. I'm going to send in my Spear Levy to intercept his Carthaginian Cavalry. Hopefully be able to get a Javelin volley off, but they just moved out of range, so I'm going to pull back my Germanic Slingers and start firing on the Mercenary Balearic Slingers again. So the danger of getting outflanked here is very, very real. I'm firing at his Balearic Slingers. Now they're starting to drop, moving forward. I want to stay here in this forested area And at this point I'm activating Ariovistus, because if you look at how this engagement is probably going to go, then I'm going to get hit here by these mercenary Gallic warriors, and then these units should be able to move around the flanks. So activating fast charge, I'm only activating it on these units in the center here. So I'm actually only getting fast charge on 3 of my swordmasters and on 2 spear levy units. So the question is whether I should have charged here or not. And I know that the commentators of the Prussian Prince and Achilles seem to think I made a mistake in activating fast charge here. Indie Pride seemed to think that Diplomatt baited the fast charge, that he moved up and then I activated fast charge and then I didn't have time to charge in. But if you look at the distance between these units here, fast charge would allow me to either charge these units without the charge bonus, or chase after them, wait a while and then charge in and get the charge bonus. But I'm doing this just as his mercenary Gallic warriors are about to reach my slingers, my skirmishers. So what I want to have happen here is that I want Diplomatt to do exactly what he's doing. I want him to turn around, start moving his units back. This is going to give me more time to skirmish, to fire at his mercenary Balearic slingers. It's going to make him move further back, so now I have increased the distance. The cavalry stopped, I have increased the distance from his flanking force to my flanking force. I'm putting the Germanic scout riders into his back, so now he has to keep moving his Germanic slingers. He has to move back his cavalry in order to counter these Germanic slingers. And all of these moves combined have enabled me to do more skirmishing. It has enabled me to push back Diplomatt from outflanking me. And so in using that Ariovistus, I was able to avoid a disadvantageous engagement, and I was able to do more of what I want to do more of, which in this case is skirmishing and depleting the ammunition on these mercenary Balearic slingers. So now I have a bit more time. And to be honest, if anyone thinks that I should have chased into the center of this army with these swordmasters, just get kited into oblivion, because if Diplomatt would have just kited in different directions here, then there would have been a very real danger of me ending up downhill from him, the charge bonus wearing off, and him being able to downhill charge me with cavalry and infantry. So in tactical analysis of that situation, I needed to push Diplomatt back. I did not want to engage yet. I did not want to send my general straight down the center against his very wide formation. That would have been close to disastrous, I think. So if you think that would have been a good move, all the more power to you, but I don't see any way that would have ended well. Just 3 units with fast charge hitting, and you can kind of see by my deployment as well. You can kind of see by my deployment and my composition that I don't really intend to activate fast charge on a lot of units, because I'm only going to be able to hit these units right here. So that means only 3 swordmasters out of 6 are going to get fast charge. So this is not a Suebi rush build that requires a lot of weak units to get the fast charge off. This is a build that requires a playstyle that's a bit more patient, because it's going to be outnumbered. I'm pushing up my spear levy here, trying to throw some javelins at the noble cavalry, firing at the noble cavalry. Unfortunately, the noble cavalry runs away, but I did manage to do some hit point damage to it at least. In the center, the mercenary Gallic warriors threw their javelins at me. I'm throwing javelins at the mercenary Gallic warriors and charging downhill. Now they've got a decent enough charge on me, but it is uphill. This Carthaginian cavalry is going to get absolutely wrecked by all the javelins. And it wasn't timed well enough, because these mercenary Gallic warriors are not going to be able to get into the swordmasters. I'm going to try to interrupt the charge with a spear levy. Interrupt the charge of this Libyan infantry as well. And in the center now, I'm going to destroy the mercenary Gallic warriors quickly. They're going to be fearing these hex bearers, so they're starting to waver. The spear levy is also wavering, but it took some hit point damage for the swordmasters. Carthaginian cavalry takes some fire here. I'm getting my spear levy charged by late Libyan hoplites, turning around and giving attack orders. So you can see the Libyan infantry is shaken because it's attacked in the rear, and that's because Diplomatt here activated. He activated shield wall, rushed in, activated shield wall, and that can sometimes get very buggy in these engagements. So if you activate shield wall, it's a very good idea to just give an attack order afterwards, so you know that your units are facing the right way. But these Libyan infantry, they are also steady, but they are already winded, and this is why also I activated fast charge, because making Diplomat's units run up and down this hill has fatigued them to a significant degree. So already winded, not really great for Diplomat's units. I'm activating Pride to just increase the AP damage and do more damage to these Libyan infantry in the center. My Germanic slingers have done a lot of their job. I'm going to pull out this unit because the shield wall here means that I'm going to be able to pull out with one unit and chase after the Carthaginian cavalry to throw some javelins, baiting away Carthaginian cavalry over here. And the general now has an opening to get in here, but this is also intentional, because leaving my Germanic slingers exposed like this usually means that Diplomatt will try and break through the gap and try to go for rear charges. But notice that I have spear levy over here. I also have 3 swordmasters, so it's going to give my swordmasters an uphill charge. They're going to take quite a few damage. I'm activating headhunt to hopefully do a bit more damage to his general. These Balearic slingers, let's see if they're doing friendly fire to the Carthaginian general. No, probably a bit, because they are firing at these swordmasters. They are doing a lot of damage to them, but it's into the unshielded side, and there is noble cavalry sort of in the way. So all of the cavalry units that are running around in my back lines here, they are exposed to getting attacked by this spear levy unit. Although it's getting some decent enough rear charges here, they're not really enough to break the swordmasters or get a huge amount of kills. But the noble cavalry, they are getting a nice amount of kills in the center, but my units are winning decisively, so it's not really going to matter much. And the noble cavalry is just dropping so quickly. Cavalry units are getting pulled in here to get destroyed by the spear levy instead of rear charging. Pull away the cavalry over here. I haven't dealt with the Balearics yet, but that's the plan with this Germanic scout rider. And you can see that the Germanic slingers are still being very useful in holding the Carthaginian cavalry down here. The noble cavalry, enemy noble cavalry, has to be super careful, because they've lost so many men. They're almost down to half strength. Carthage is winning on the flanks here, and this was what I had to avoid for as long as possible, losing the flanks, because the flanks for Carthage would be able to crash in on my flanks at basically any time, the way Diplomatt was deployed, and I couldn't really match the width of his formation and still protect my important hex bearers and skirmishers. His noble cavalry general, I'm pulling out my swordmasters to chase after his noble cavalry general, throwing some javelins. These mercenary Gallic warriors were a bit too slow to intercept, and that means the end of the noble cavalry. My Germanic slingers are amazingly enough still alive. I'm sending my spear levy that has killed a lot of cavalry to deal with the Libyan infantry. The Carthaginian general is dead. Just as he dies, I'm giving these Balearic slingers a rear charge to destroy them, and they are now off the field. One of my Germanic scouts got caught here by this Carthaginian cavalry. I'm going to try to pull it away, I think, or am I just going to forget about it? Yeah, it looks like I'm going to forget about it. So in the center now, my swordmasters are going to break these mercenary Gallic warriors. The Libyan infantry is going to break, probably. And now there isn't a whole lot of Carthage left on the field. The mercenary Samnites are disciplined, but they will get a morale reduction due to the general being dead. This Carthaginian cavalry is being screened by Germanic scout riders with 111 kills. So it's going to drop Downhill charge on the Libyan infantry by the swordmasters. Some late Libyan hoplites are chasing after my Germanic slingers, but my Germanic slingers, they've done their job for this battle, so I'm not too concerned about keeping them alive, judging by what I have left here. I don't really need them. My swordmasters are going to get a nice downhill charge here on this Libyan infantry, getting a bit interrupted by the Carthaginian cavalry though, but they're going to make it. Libyan infantry wavering, and unfortunate that my Hex Bearers died at this point, because it would really have needed their negative morale modifiers for a bit longer. Or not really, but it would have been nice to break these units quicker. But I still have my swordmasters. They're doing fairly well. This Libyan infantry is holding, attacked in the rear and wavering, but it's still holding, so I'm pulling out this swordmaster unit with headhunt to do some more damage to the Carthaginian cavalry, because it's just so depleted. And the Carthaginian cavalry is going to start to waver and break. So at this point, it is a GG. Carthage delenda est. My swordmasters did their job, they did well, they held out. Even when flanked, the Germanic slingers did their job in baiting shots from the mercenary Balearic slingers, and I think I had 6 sword units in this battle. Diplomatt had 11, so he didn't have 2 Samnites, I had 1 Samnite. I had 0 melee cavalry, and Carthage has 5 cavalry units, one of them being a shock cavalry unit. Now, I think, or I'm fairly confident that I would have lost this battle had I charged my 3 swordmasters with Ariovistus through the center, and then this very wide Carthaginian army would just have sort of collapsed in around me and gone for rear charges all day. I don't see a happy ending to that at all. My general would be open to getting sniped, and as you could see, some of his Libyan infantry were actually winded when they made it to my lines. So, if you see, that's why I like Ariovistus, because it gives you 2 options. You can either chase down the enemy and get a lot of damage done, either by attacking them in the rear, or by having the massive charge bonuses activated, so you're going to wreck the enemy regardless of if you attack them in the front or in the rear. But another thing that I really like about Ariovistus is that if you have a good terrain position, you can use Ariovistus to force your opponent back, and then when Ariovistus has worn off, then your opponent is probably going to feel more confident engaging you and wants to charge in, with his units being more fatigued because they have run forwards. If an opponent wants to engage you early and you have Ariovistus, it's probably a good sign that he just wants to bait the Ariovistus or use his general to intimidate your Ariovistus. So if an opponent does that, it might be a good idea to do what I did here, activate Ariovistus early, before your opponent can really intimidate him. The opponent is probably going to pull back, and when he pulls back and you stay still, you have conserved stamina. You can fire into the backs of the enemy units, and they will be in a state of fatigue when they reach you. So when you have a small compact force like I have here, this is not a pure rush build, it only has 6 melee units. Then if you have Ariovistus in this type of setup, it might actually be better to use it to get some tactical advantages instead of just going for the 20 charge bonuses. Because I mean, I know that some people disagree with this, but getting a 20 charge bonus on, or I don't remember what the Ariovistus charge bonus is, it's probably, I think it's 20. Getting a charge bonus is very nice for these swordmasters, but it would only have affected 3 swordmasters, and compromising the position of the entire army, the general, and charging into the center of a much wider force with only 3 swordmasters. Well, not really a good idea. And you could kind of see by Diplomat's deployment that he wanted to stay very wide to be able to flank. If he had just kited his center and then pushed up with his flanks, I would have found myself in a situation where my swordmasters were downhill from a significant portion of his army. So that would have been very bad. But good game to Diplomatt. We're going to move on to the second battle in the series. This is a best of 5, so we will potentially be able to see 5 games. Strength and honor.